mean, you have a legitimate question to ask, and Secretary Clinton and her lawyers can answer it. For my part as a candidate, I intend to put out the ideas and the policies that make college more affordable for more people, that expand Social Security, that get wages to go up again for a majority of us who are all working harder instead of down. So that's what I'm going to talk about, John, and I'll leave you to ask Secretary Clinton those other questions.
Secretary of State Clinton was not the first Secretary of State to use personal email, but she's the only one that has turned over tens upon thousands of her emails and asked them to become public. Now she's turned over her server. What this has turned into is just a good old-fashioned political witch hunt.
The more this story goes on, the more it becomes clear that she has lied. It's clear that this server was parked in some IT firm in New Jersey getting cleaned. Boy, that raises all kinds of issues. And it's almost hard to believe, it strains credulity to accept that a Secretary of State who handled all of her communications on a homebrewed server never passed classified information on her device and over that server. Of course she did, and now we're finding out she did, as usual. The cover-up is worse than the crime.
And also making the Sunday rounds, the Donald, of course. Prior to that, though, he spoke to our very own Steve Malzberg right here on Newsmax TV. And in true Trump fashion, he didn't disappoint. Let's welcome in Washington Examiner correspondent Eddie Scarry. Thanks so much for joining us. So,
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, Trump had an interesting week, from Bat Trump at the Iowa Fair, never dull, television interviews, and now jury duty. So running for office can be very expensive, especially when it's on your own dime. Just how far do you think Trump is willing to go to get into that White House?
Well, in terms of spending money, you can donate to Donald Trump via his website. He also has a store where he's selling things. You can donate that way. But those are really small donations. He himself, though, he was on an interview with Fox News, Sean Hannity, I believe this was last week, where he said he was willing to spend about a year's worth of, and that's what it's going to be, about a year before we get to the actual convention in 2016. He said he's willing to spend about a year's worth of his salary, and that's about $500 million.
Wow, $500 million. But Eddie, why then would Trump not only say he's ready to spend all of his annual income, at least 1 year, even run as an independent, and then say this about Jeb Bush to our own Steve Malzberg? Take a listen.
If Jeb Bush gets the nomination, can you see yourself supporting him, or would you be more likely to run third party if it were Jeb Bush?
I can't say yet. It's too early. I could certainly see myself supporting him because I think he's a good person.
So Trump did add that he has issues with Jeb's stance on Common Core and has called him weak on immigration in the past. And so why all of a sudden the change of heart?
Well, I think really at issue here with him not saying whether he's going to who he's going to support for the Republican nominee if it's not him, or if he's not going to run as a third-party candidate. He has said this in the past, and I believe it to be true, is that it's part of his negotiation tactic. People who do negotiating, they don't want to show their cards, and showing their card would be making a decision a year in advance about what their intentions are. So I believe that's what he's trying to say.
Trump has been talking a lot about women lately, even saying he cherishes them. In fact, this is what he said about Fox News anchor Megyn Kelly. Again, this was on the Steve Malzberg Show.
You okay with her? And do you think there was any connection to have her go away for a while in the wake of what she did?
Well, there probably was, but I wouldn't know about it. And I hope she's well, and I hope she's feeling fine. And I hope she comes back and she's going to be fair.
Trump also discounted a story that Fox actually called him and threatened Trump if he didn't tone down his anti-Fox rhetoric. Is this, too, another shift, do you think, in Trump's strategy, or is it something he felt necessary to do after that controversy between him and Fox News anchor Megyn Kelly?
I think it's actually putting Megyn Kelly aside. I think that it has to do more with the Fox News apparatus, its power within the Republican Party, and Roger Ailes, the CEO of Fox News. You know, there were reports that the two of them, Trump and Ailes, they've had conversations over the phone and kind of made nice about the whole incident. But then you still had Trump coming out and, talking about Kelly, talking about how he won the debate. He's the one that came out on top. So I think what you're really having here is two alpha males kind of clashing over who has the power within the Republican Party. Recently, there was an MSNBC panel on Morning Joe where they said that they think that Trump is perhaps the most powerful person in media right now. And for a long time, that's been Roger Ailes. It probably still is him, but Trump is certainly having his day. So the two of them are competing for power right now within the GOP.
Who do you think Trump should be concerned about the most right now?
Himself. I think that he needs to watch for what he's going to do. But then again, it seems that that's what's working for him. So when you are the front runner, you're kind of your own worst enemy. So right now, it's just him. He doesn't have any competition.
Yeah, he's his own best friend and own worst enemy. Washington Examiner correspondent Eddie Scarry, thanks so much for joining us here on Newsmax Now. Good to have you.
Thank you.
Well, we've heard the comparisons. You've even seen the slogans. But how much is Trump really like Ronald Reagan? Coming up on Newsmax Now, a Reagan family member tells us what he really thinks of the Trump. And time may be ticking away to save our global markets. Those stories and much more coming up when Newsmax Now continues.